Yeah, my name is Tommi Grönlund, coming from Helsinki, Finland. And you? Who are you then?
Yeah, well, my name is Petteri Nisunen, also from Helsinki. And we've been collaborating for over 10 years now. First with some kind of or different architecture projects, and since I guess it's 1993 also within this contemporary art scene.
Yeah, we used to study in the same architecture school in Tampere in Finland, 96 to 91 or 92 or something, and we set up a studio with a couple of other colleagues in Helsinki, beginning of 90s. It was a studio. And then later on it became to an architecture office where we realized quite many projects in early 90s. But in mid-90s we more and more started to move towards working in the field of contemporary art.
I guess we both sort of we're doing this kind of project which were somewhere in between art and architecture already while we were studying, and then we just I don't know where it actually came from, but we got this idea to make a show together and then started to go on.
We had already that time we had been working 5-6 years in the architecture office even before we had our own studio, and we had, at least myself, I had seen that it's really not so challenging, or you cannot really realize your ideas. But in art scene, you can still deal with the same questions and same ideas, and you can actually realize them yourself and concentrate only what you think is interesting in the.
Well, I guess if you're speaking about now this new piece we're making here, because since our first visit here, we somehow felt kind of like the big space, and it's sort of this openness and airy feeling, and we started to somehow work with something sort of floating or flying kind of idea, which then led finally into what we are now doing here. But like there were so many tests and things on the way that and that's very normal for us. So actually I could say that sometimes you need these sort of failures to sort of go into where you're actually going. Or I wouldn't call them failures actually, but it's just part of the process in one. Because I think but I don't think we would have ever come up with this piece without trying out the other things. So sometimes things lead up to another thing that way. It's through this strong process, a long process, that we start to imagine something sort of floating or flying in the space, and then ended up working this way. So it's going to be actually large. The base is about 150 square meters. Large sort of floating landscape, if you like, which is kept up by this pressured air, and then we use some sort of timer system to put that on and off, so there will be movement within that. And for us, this is something we have not tried before, a very new method of working, so we really expect ourselves also.
But in a way, it's quite typical piece.
Yeah.
But most often it happens that when you are making a new piece, the first time you can really try it on in a real scale. It's in the actual place where you build it up. Like first time we try it out here and hope that it works.
Yeah, that's.
Trust. It's very common because you never can make. We made a couple of scale models in Finland, but most often it's like that.
Yeah, actually, I think that's maybe we shouldn't say it here, but in one way, this certain element of risk becomes also part of the work. I mean, with working this kind of work, it's like Tommi said, you cannot really build them beforehand, so you have to make the design as good as you like and trust that it will work out, and then you can only experiment it.
Music box was originally made for a show in Berlin earlier this year, so it's maybe one of the pieces which is less kind of place site specific, and I would say it's just like a room without dimensions, black room, so that it totally lose any orientation or dimensions. Also acoustically, which is one of the main things. And why it was it was made for this show, which was dealing with kind of memories of Berlin, and sort of we wanted to make sort of melancholic piece, and at the same time a little bit scary maybe, and this old Soviet anthem, I think it's quite melancholic enough. Yeah, so it's at the same time it's sort of a space study. How you mentally feel when you go to the space, you don't see anything at all. Then you start to see something, but you still don't know what is really surrounding you.
I think it's that why we avoid very sort of, or why the names are quite dry, if you like, or one is that somehow we don't want to over-explain the work, because quite many of our works are minimal and sort of like Tommi explained, the sensing of the space. So then if it give very strong name or label, so people tend to think the whole piece that way. So we find it sort of better that people can actually go there and have their own ideas about this piece. At least for me, I think that especially goes with some of the sound works. I think it's, but it's
the problem is that at the same time it has to be really kind of dry and boring, and kind of very precisely describing what's happening in the piece. And of course it would be good if it's kind of describing the feeling that we maybe were thinking about when we made the piece.